Is VV Ultimatum actually good? The upcoming Bleach-inspired Roblox game clearly has a lot of care put into it, and there's been a lot of people telling me to play it because it is the next up-and-coming game, which is going to be able to potentially kill Type Soul, because it's a Bleach game, so I guess they're direct competitors by that logic. Anyway, in today's video I want to review it based on PvE, PvP, progression, and miscellaneous aesthetic stuff like build quality, and just how much care I feel like they put into the game. Make sure to subscribe, since basically nobody is. I mean, the graph says 0%. That means I have 0 subscribers. What? Subscribe! And let's get straight into it. Alright, so first of all, this game starts you out with a big exposition lore dump, and wow, it is actually kind of amazing for a Roblox game. Black and white out silhouette animations while the game gives you an explanation of the lore of the game, which is pretty much just like slightly changed up Bleach lore. Imagine like Bleach lore 500 years in the future, that's how I'd see it. But it still is really cool to see the whole intro animation. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this in a trailer or anything yet, because I went into this game completely blind, but outright it is a great introduction that really had me hooked initially. And then the game puts you into a tutorial where it shows you the controls and it introduces you to the first boss where you will promptly lose. But the game gives you the opportunity to try it again, and upon seeing that option, you know that this boss might be possible. And then you look at his health bar. It's only down 15%, but you only hit him twice. And then you know that this boss is possible. It took me 4 attempts, and damn, killing him was sick. And it provides you with a couple level boost and a bunch of chests full of good loot that you can't even use yet, which is how you know it's good, because you can't even use it yet because you're not even a high enough level. And then it was clear to me that this game has taken up quite a bit of inspiration from Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, a game that I was once a top 70 speedrunner in the glitchless 100% deathless category on PS4, and I believe version 3.00. Anyway, this game's tutorial is definitely one of the better, if not one of the best I've ever seen among Roblox games, and the scripted loss boss fight that's actually beatable is a gimmick that I actually really love to see in games in general, because it rewards you for being good at the game and makes you feel cool as fuck beating a boss and defying the odds that you're supposed to lose to. Video remains PG-13, I get 2 upwards. One problem I did have with the PvE outright during this fight, however, was hitboxes and auto-tracking. A lot, and I mean a lot of enemies in this game feel like they have auto-tracking melee attacks, and they just can't miss. It happened to me a couple of times during the tutorial boss, but certain moves I would dodge away from and get hit anyway, and it feels like the hitboxes are kind of just huge on a lot of moves. And also, the game doesn't really tell you this very well, but dodges don't have invincibility frames. I don't know why it didn't mention this. It mentions that you should dodge certain attacks, but what it doesn't mention is that you're dodging the hitboxes, not literally dodging them, because you do not have invincibility frames while dodging. If you see a big AoE move, you have to run out of it with flash steps, because you will not escape it otherwise. Which is honestly the only problem I have with the tutorial. They don't make that super clear, because they should tell you that dodging doesn't have iframes, because then it would fundamentally change how you play. Because as a deep woken player, I'm used to just like dodging, which in this game you do dodges by like holding a direction, pressing space, but I'm used to dodging and that move just kind of goes through me. But this game doesn't do that. Your dodges are directional based, and you have to actually dodge the attack in the way it's coming from. Now, as for the progression, I'm sure you guys are already aware I chose Hollow because I go Hollow in every Bleach game because the Ironcars are so cool. Just to find out that Ironcar is the worst race and has the worst progression as mandatory by every Bleach game. Great. So for the Hollow progression, you start out as a Hollow. You can choose one of 4 like Hollow shapes. I chose the Centipede because the funny bug looks funny. And outright, the models in this game are really good, which, by the way, people are not shitting on this game's models, which you might be thinking, why would they shit on them if they're good? People were shitting on models for Peroxide and Paradox because the models were like more realistic than Type Soul's models, and people didn't like the models in those games initially because they looked too real and they thought that they looked weird. But then people are talking about how much they love the models for this game, so what changed? Why were you guys making fun of those games' models? But like, are we just used to more realistic looking stuff in Roblox now? Or were people just being toxic for no reason? Probably the second option. Anyway, the models are good, but there might be a bit of poor optimization on the end of it, because while progressing as a Hollow, I had a really bad lag in game, which you may or may not be able to tell based on the video footage you guys are seeing, but it was impossible to properly parry enemy Hollows in the Soul Society outskirts where I was at, where you progress in the beginning of the game. Now, to progress as a Hollow, you need to kill other Hollows, and you kind of just keep eating them, and eventually you'll turn into a Menos Grande. And oh my god, this is the only Bleach game that has ever had bearable Menos progression. First of all, it's short, and also PvP guard, so no high levels targeting you as a Menos. Like, if you guys remember the game Blotch, I know, some of you are gonna feel old as me if you're thinking about Blotch, but that game's Menos progression was awful. That game's progression was awful. But in Blotch, as a Menos, you had to stay alive for 40 minutes. That was how you would progress. But you were super weak and immobile, and if you died, you reset completely. Fuck Blotch. In this game, you just need to go around killing 8 snowman, hollows. And you also need to just go around destroying trees and stuff, which is really dumb, but it's also kind of fun. And speaking of, this game has a lot of map destruction. Trees, posts, lamps, pretty much any decorative object and structure can be destroyed, which is pretty cool and just adds to the world of the game a little bit. It's just a little bit of charm that they added to it. Now, it might be a bit of the cause for optimization issues, but I personally do like it. If it's a problem, then I'd say that they could tone it down a bit, but I don't think it should be that crazy. Then from Menos, you complete those goals and become an Adjuchus, and then you can rip your mask and become an Adjukar, or keep progressing and kill hollows to become a Vastolord, and then become a Vastakar. Now, if you don't become a Vastolord, you can actually just kill 70 players as an Arrancar to become a Vastolord, and then a Vastakar right after. So actually, it isn't even worth becoming a Vastolord outright, when you can just farm it via PvP later in the game anyway, while also progressing your Arrancar. So, you know, you're kind of just not wasting time, because if you do it as a Vastolord, you basically just wasted time when you could have done it this way through PvP, because now you're a level 1 Vastakar when you could have been progressing, and then you could have gotten like your partial at level 25 and then your full mode around level 60 to 80, and then you could have just had Vastolord like at level 90, and it would have basically done nothing to your progression, because by the time you're that strong, you'll want to do PvP anyway. Anyway, after becoming an Arrancar, you'll be low level, and one thing that I forgot to mention that I actually think is a really cool part of this game that other games don't do is, first of all, they make your hollows unique, but they also allow you to like get mutations through eating hollows and leveling up, which change your attributes, and they're called like traits, and they're basically just little mutations that change how you look, but they also change your stats, they give you special abilities and stuff like that, and I think that's really cool, because it not only comes out through hollows for their like hollow forms, because they are important for your hollow form while you're progressing, because they'll change your stats and attributes, but also once you get your full mode, your resurrection, what it does is it gives you these attributes later in the game, and they scale differently and give you special abilities, which is also super cool. But you can kind of just do missions for progression with varying difficulties and tasks. The first mission I did was really dumb though. I went to go pick up some intel for Hueco Mundo, and then a Menos came out of nowhere, and I had to run back to the extraction point because I couldn't fight it. But get this, auto-tracking Ceros I can't dodge. Awesome. And then on top of that, since I got hit, I couldn't extract because I was in combat, which means my only option was to fight it, which I didn't know, which I didn't do because I got hit by a third Cero and died. Sick. And by the way, the stupidest part is that when you fail missions below a certain threshold, you actually lose experience. So even if you went through the whole mission, but then you like died and you didn't get your goal done and you wasted a bunch of time, you lose XP in your level. So you actually just flat out can lose all of it depending on how bad you did on your mission, which I think is honestly kind of dumb, because regardless of failure, I feel like that doesn't even make sense. Like, I really lost experience for going through this whole thing and failing. Like, I feel like that just doesn't even make sense. It's stupid, and it just kind of hinders the progression flow and experience. Now, I do think that there's probably better ways that they could have handled certain missions like that one. I think that one is probably like the worst designed mission in the game for new players, because they don't really guide you, and there's a few problems with that mission specifically. First of all, it says, hey, you're gonna have to give the guy this code, but it doesn't tell you you'll have to memorize the code. So there's a little code on the left side of the screen, and mine was like HXLB4 or something like that, and then you walk up to the guy, and then you have to select from the random part on the right. There's like 5 random codes there that are mixtures of letters and numbers that are part of it, and they don't tell you that you're going to need to memorize it. They just tell you like you're gonna have to give it to him. So then you either give it to him and you get the things, or you don't and you fail the mission outright. And then the Menos comes and you should run from it, but you actually can't run from it because you can't dodge its Ceros, so you're supposed to fight it. But then there's also like secondary objectives that boost the XP you get, like don't use flash steps, don't take damage, and it's like, so you want me to not take damage against the Menos that's huge as fuck that I can barely fight, but you guys are gonna make me go against it. Yeah, okay. It's just annoying. I think they could definitely guide people through better with that mission specifically, but it's not that big of a problem, because once you mess it up once, you'll probably get it every other time. It's just annoying on your first time, because a lot of missions have stuff like this where you'll just go through and mess it up and you're like, oh, okay, how was I supposed to know that? And it's kind of just trial and error. Anyway, your actual stats and abilities are trained by just doing things that train them. So using your flash step in missions will actually train it, making you faster and use less Reiatsu when you have to use Reiatsu for it, because you get 2 for free, and then after using those, it starts using Reiatsu. Fighting enemies trains potency, stuff like that. You know, you just kind of get your stats by doing stuff that trains them. Then at around level 25, you need to meditate for a bit once you start getting like messages on your screen, which lets you get your partial resurrection. And your entire mode actually depends on faction EXP, which, yeah, you'll usually get your partial around level 25, but that's just kind of coincidental because you gain faction EXP through leveling up and doing quests for the hollow stuff and ranking up and all that, which will allow you to progress through your full mode and racial progressions and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure it's a similar process for Soul Reapers and Quincy's, but I wouldn't know. I always play play Rancor in every Bleach game. And yes, there is a bit of bandit beating, but the quests do have quite a bit of variety, so at least you do get to have fun doing the random quests a lot before they get repetitive. And even during the progression, because there are main quests, there are a lot of bosses and mini bosses that you can get through, which are less boring than just beating the bandits. Problem is that sometimes you kind of get into weird little XP plateaus where you're probably a little bit too weak to do the bosses unless you want to treat it like a Souls game, which by the way, I think you should. I think that's the most fun way to play this game. Fight bosses underleveled, I think it's really fun. That's kind of just me because I like difficulty in my games, and I think that fighting the bosses underleveled is more fun because you can treat it like a Souls game. But if you don't like that, then don't do that. You're gonna end up beating bandits for a bit too long, and you're probably going to get more burnt out than if you spend 20 attempts on one boss trying to 1v1 it. And about the PvE, this game actually has really good PvE. Very reminiscent of Sekiro for the humanoid enemies, and very reminiscent of Sekiro for the non-humanoid enemies. Except the non-humanoid enemies are like the demon of hatred. For those of you who don't know what that means because you haven't played Sekiro, they're miserable. That's what it means. I mean, even the game has its own special counter system for unparryable attacks. It's kind of like the Mikiri. But everything about the PvE screams Sekiro influence, from the parry window timing, which, by the way, feels exactly like Sekiro. Like, the timing to hit parries and perfect parries feels just like Sekiro. I don't know how they got it that close. And then basically, like, the Mikiri counter with the special moves that you can't parry, to the dodges that don't provide any actual iframes. The PvE feels like Sekiro with Bleach reskinning and mechanics, and that is in the best way possible. I have a lot of fun with it, and I think a lot of the bosses are very well designed, except the Dragonfly. And then there's the PvP. I haven't done too much PvP, but from what I have done, it plays pretty smooth as long as there aren't server lag issues, which do happen quite a bit sometimes because the game either has a fair bit of optimization issues or Roblox servers. I'm not entirely sure what the cause is for them at some of these, but also very bad server allocation. I keep auto-joining European servers, which is really annoying. And also, of course it's Hakata, but Hakata animations are just weird. They're just weird. They're hard to read, they're weird. I don't like Hakata in this game. Probably still like it more than I like it in Type Soul, because Hakata in Type Soul is the dumbest shit ever. But in this game, Hakata is still just a little bit problematic, and I think that they should go through and make some of those animations more readable, because some of the startups for them are too similar, and then you're trying to parry one move, but then that one move looks the same as another move, and then you miss the parry. Oops, your posture broken. Speaking of posture breaking, oh my god, it's the most punishing shit ever. In this game, when you get posture broken, you do not get unposture broken for getting hit unless you get hit into a wall, which resets stuns anyways, which is supposed to prevent like infinite wall combos. But when you get posture broken, you're just stunned for 2 seconds. 2 seconds where they can just hit you with anything as long as it's not knocking you into a wall. You are just completely stunned for that 2-second time where they just get to beat on you. I wish what they would do instead is just increase the amount of damage you take after a posture break and make it so you can only like take one hit, kind of like how it is in Deep Woken. Because some people will just, I don't know, I've been seeing either move stacks or bullshit that people are just throwing on me where I just take like half my health in a single like little guard break combo, and it's like, what did I just get hit by? He just hit me with the 5-point finger heart exploding move, because what? Anyway, other than that, as a whole, the models and maps are also really good. There's a lot of detail put into them, and you can tell that they put a lot of good work into the game's aesthetics. But there is one thing I have to say, oh my god, lore accurate Hueco Mundo, because god, it actually takes 3 days to run across it. It's so big, like too big and too empty. I don't think lore accurate Hueco Mundo is necessarily a good thing. You guys could at least have some hollow spawns out there. I wasn't seeing anything out there. But yeah, that's all for now. I might make more videos on this game because I do think it is good. I might do like stereotypes and stuff, like the regular series. You guys know what, maybe the 10 stages of an Arankar if you guys want to see that once I get my full mode and all that. I haven't played enough on it just yet. I'm more so on early and mid game stuff because I haven't completed the main story yet, and I'm in Japan. So as of you guys watching this video, no streams either. I'll be back in June, but yes, I am in Japan, and once I'm back from Japan, I'll have like 2 Japan vlog videos going up on the live channel for you guys, and I might even be face revealing, at which point I'll probably start streaming with a face cam on Twitch and stuff like that. But that's if I face reveal. It's not a promise. It's seeming likely. I've been wanting to do it for a bit now. Anyway, make sure to subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed. I do like VV. I think it has a lot of good things about it, and most of the negatives are really just lag. I think that this game is actually really well done, and it's probably one of the better games on Roblox. Anyway, new song cover probably dropped already, so buy a YouTube membership to hear my song covers. I think one should have dropped like a few days ago or like last weekend for you guys. I don't know, man. I'm recording this video a week before it goes out. And shout out to YouTube members of tier 2 or higher: Green, Philip, Broccoli, Akiosugi Kuni, Zerkskis, Unigio, Fun Guns, Abridged Gouther, Cap, Jaywa, and Drizzy Drake Fan. I love you all. Have an amazing day as usual, and goodbye.